You know where we are. 9 a.m. Just kidding, it's probably 10. And look, I came in like Home Depot cosplay. I just, of course, need a few more things. Some extension rings for our outlet box, some Bondo. I do need some liquid nails. Let's see if I can find them. These are the outlet extenders. We've got item 1 of 5 down. When you're showing me 2 options, like the forever liquid nails versus the project liquid nails, I'm like, I could spend 10 years in this store debating the merits of both. I love that the permanent one is like, bond will outlast project. Huge promise. Probably true, but huge promise. Maybe that's too permanent. Hard to say. Hard telling, not knowing. Right now I'm looking for a piece of wood that I can use as like a little shelf. And there are so many pieces of wood in this store. Also, while I'm here looking for the least fucked up board, why don't they give you a basket at Home Depot? I don't need a cart and I don't need one of those long wheelie platforms. I just need a little basket. Instead, my arms look like this. Got an armpit full of glue. And other things. My hands are full. Give me a basket. Give me a basket, please. I see a cart. I don't want a cart, I want a basket. A tiny little basket so I can be nimble. Great in the max capacity and I still need to find one more thing. What do we think the odds are that this is gonna be the last trip that I make to Home Depot for this project? I already can think of something that I might need, but I'm not quite sure what it is. I need a way to, I'm gonna just make brackets for the shelf above the toilet with just triangles of the plank. I'm gonna cut triangles out of this plank. I have excess length to just like make the brackets, but I feel like I'm gonna need one of those like angle in screw plastic things that like helps you drill in at an angle, because should I go in and get it, even though I'm not sure if that's what I need? What's the answer? Maybe I need to sit here and Google. Okay, the answer is no. I'm not gonna go back in for that. I just need to watch some YouTubes of other people like making their own shelf. It's not gonna hold a ton of weight. I don't need to buy pre-made brackets. I'm also thinking like I could do some sort of like dowel situation instead of like drilling into the wall. All that to say, wow, that woman is going 30 miles through this parking lot. I'm not gonna get that. Right now I'm gonna go home and do my other little step. All right, phase 2 of the bathroom. And by phase 2, I just mean second weekend that I'm working on the bathroom. I've gotten all the paneling up on all of the walls, but I need to adhere it to the walls. Basically, I spent yesterday like cutting all of the panels to size and fitting them in there. And today I'm going to actually adhere them all to the wall. Had to take the toilet tank off. That was fun and easy to get this piece of paneling behind the toilet. Just went to Home Depot to get liquid nails. At first, I was not using liquid nails to adhere this stuff to the wall. For some reason, I'm like so weird about making permanent changes. I'm like, oh, what if I don't want this anymore? Like, I don't want it glued to the wall. I don't know what that is. I think I'm just always like afraid of like changing my mind, which does happen and everyone is allowed to do, and then like regretting the way that I like made something permanent. But also, if I'm really going through the thought experiment, like I'm having a really hard time imagining being like, I'm gonna take all this beadboard down. So all that to say, so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna use nails because nails would be easier to remove than liquid nails, which is glue that would then like probably peel off the paint, if not the drywall. I'd have to patch the drywall. I was like, I'll just use nails, which I did on this wall here that I keep showing you. And I can kind of imagine the benefit of having used liquid nails because there are areas like this where I am gonna have to go back in and add like even more real nails to have it sit entirely flush to the wall. I realized over here where we have this pocket door, obviously there's not a stud to nail the beadboard into, and I really would need to be careful about how deep my nails go into this wall so that they're not, you know, scraping against this pocket door. So I think on this wall, I might just use only liquid nails. Same story over here, where I know there must be wiring going through all of this, and I'm like, well, I don't really want to put nails through where I think there might be wiring. I mean, that could be the case. I'm like trying to think like what plumbing would be in this wall that I could have like nailed into. Anyways, I tried to nail into only studs so we don't have that fear on this wall in particular. Going to liquid nail most of the paneling onto the wall, and maybe in some places not use any nails at all. If you have feelings about that, you leave me a comment. As you know, this is my first foray into this level of project. I will say that if you want to be a saw girl, if you want to use saws, you go from being like, ooh, scared, like, I don't know, safety first, to being like I was ripping through stuff yesterday, sawing left and right, and was like, oh, I can wield a jigsaw. I ended up using the jigsaw most, plus this oscillating multi-tool. I did not pull out the circular saw. I just felt like I had more control over the jigsaw. Though obvious to me now that doing long straight cuts through these like 48-inch long panels, I think the ideal tool would be a table saw, but I also think that the table saw, or my preconceived notion of the table saw, is that it is the most expensive and most like cumbersome kind of saw to have. Like, we don't really have a place to store that, nor do I feel the need to invest in a table saw because I don't know what other project I have in mind that would require me to make like 4-foot long straight cuts. I could have rented one probably from Lowe's or Home Depot. I think a lot of them have rental programs. One thing that I think is so cool, in Portland where my mom lives, they have a tool library, like a community tool library that's run by volunteers. And she borrows a lot of tools from that, which I think is so fucking sick. I love that. I haven't been able to find one in Charlotte. But all that to say, I probably could have rented a table saw. I did just fine with the jigsaw. And I'm hoping that the areas, like, it's not perfect. Like, I had to make a funny little cut here that I'm hoping I'm gonna be able to seal up. Like, again, most walls are not like perfectly plumb and square. I'm trying to think of, like, here you can see I have kind of like a sloppy, not even line. But again, I'm gonna be putting a piece of trim here, and I'm hoping that I'll just be able to fill this in with some caulking. And on this corner, a little janky, a little bit not perfect, but I'm gonna go over it with Bondo and hope that I can fill it with Bondo and then sand it down to like a nice flush corner. I realized after I did this first meeting of the corners, I think what would have happened in an ideal scenario is that I would have done a miter cut. But even then, I don't feel like this wall and this corner are like entirely plumb. I don't know, living and learning as I go along, doing what I can. Like, stuff like this happens when you use a jigsaw. It's just like not perfect. And I can't tell if that's the norm. Again, weigh in the comments if you do a lot of like DIY stuff. If not having everything perfect is the norm, and you just like fill it in and know that those mistakes or those like little irregularities are going to be kind of like covered up by the filling in and the finishing of it, or if I'm just being sloppy jalopy. I'm hoping it's the former. I'm telling myself it's the former because I am trying to be like careful and precise, but also counting a lot on like the final finishing bits of filling in with spackle and caulking to correct some stuff. Learning as we're going. That is the name of the game. I'm gonna get started. Okay, so I did decide I'm gonna do the outlet extenders because watching the YouTube video, YouTube video seems very simple. I just have this little, our breaker box is so confusing. I can never figure out which breaker turns off which thing without just like turning on the lights and having to watch and see which light turns off. Anyways, this is my little thing that tells me whether there's power or not going around this before I start messing with it, and it seems like it's off. If it was on, it would be beeping. Let's see how easy or hard this is in reality. So I've taken, basically what you do is you just pull these out and then slide this box over the top. Easier said than done, huh? Okay, one box. Well, and it doesn't fit in here. No! Killian Casey CPA. Everything I watched was just like, boop, it's on. But clearly, it's not on. Let's try the other outlet and see what that looks like for us. Okay, pal, what's going on? All right, yoink this out of here. Did you check your wires for me before you start shoving your fingers in here? That seems very much on. Back to the breaker. Okay, we're good. This is no longer beeping, which is great because I didn't want to electrocute myself, which I have done. Well, I've shocked myself. What's the difference? I don't know. Okay, I think that's right. Because then when I put this over the top, this is gonna sit properly and flush. Okay, so this one worked because it didn't already have a plastic box in here because it's just one outlet, I guess. All right, now, did we get it? Hell yeah. Oh, that's good. That's beautiful. I've never seen anything better than that. I'm gonna turn the power back on because I still have some investigating to do about what the hell to do with this. Maybe this piece needs to come out and I replace it with the 3 blue ones. This is kind of like a niche edge case where I don't know what exactly to YouTube in order to figure this out. Electrical work is so weird to me because it's like you gotta do all this precise stuff and then you just jam a bunch of wires in the wall. And you're like, all right, that's that. I wish it was like tidier. Like, it doesn't feel good to open this box and be like, all right, here's a bunch of wire in here. Alex genuinely has no idea the extent of the things that I'm doing in this room. Maybe one day I'll encourage him to watch my YouTube videos because I guarantee you he has no idea that I'm pulling the wires out of the wall, sawing into the drywall. I've just told him, I'm just putting beadboard up. All other things, like, he might be nervous. He's always like, okay, like, don't burn the house down. I trust myself. But if I do burn the house down, he's gonna be mad. I mean, me too. Get in here, friends. Okay, I think this is gonna work. I think this is gonna work just fine. Oh yeah, bitch. Oh yeah. All right, I'm gonna figure this out off camera because I don't wanna have to edit out 15 minutes of me jamming this around. Okay, I'm in the midst of screwing these all back in and I'm like Was this thing that I took out an extender already? Maybe. In my online research, oh my God, this is an extension box. Well, I think, because it says maximum extension 1.5 inch. Oh, silly Delaney. Sometimes I think I'm doing it all right. I'm like, God, you're good. Like, you went to the store, you figured out what you needed, you're doing it, you're installing it. And then things like this happen and I'm like, you really don't know what you don't know. And there are so many weird little bits and bobs, so many different things that go into making a whole entire house that require like niche expertise that I obviously don't have. How was I supposed to know this? Next time, I guess I will. Next time I'll know that this is an extension box. Hey, it's future Delaney editing this video. And wow, I am so pleased to report that after the quandary about the outlet extension boxes, which I just ended up putting the white one that I took out back in and not even using the blue ones, I wrapped up this day by bondoing the corner between two panels where I had a big gap, and then just got so high off the fumes of Bondo and frankly my frustration, I just stopped filming. I just thought, this is enough. So there's no more footage of this day. And the room looked essentially the same as when I started, which is really not the ending any of us were hoping for. So what I will leave you with here today is a few sneak peeks of how the bathroom is looking in its current form. Because there is a light at the end of this tunnel. And I just need us all to remember that. So enjoy.